Hey everyone, it's Nightharo here, and today I want to talk about a debuff on an enemy that is hugely important and I think has kind of gone a little bit unnoticed, at least it has by me. Okay, so this is something that I don't know why, just when I was doing some videos recently, this came up and I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that did that. So Major Maim, what it does is it reduces the damage done by an opponent by 10%. And I know that may not sound like a lot, but you actually have a bunch of other things like your resistances and other debuffs and buffs that you have in your group that also reduce your damage taken. And so the number that you see that you actually take has been reduced dramatically from what the bosses actually would do if you were like completely naked, no CP, like loaded a blank like armory thing, so you had nothing, right? No passives, no anything, no gear, whatever. So you might actually be taking, quite a bit of damage, like it might be, 30k a second or something like that. And then I'm talking about as a DPS or as a tank, the white damage from the mechanical dragon and Vass, it actually does 155k, right? So it's just plain swipe attacks does 155k, right? So obviously it doesn't kill the tank, and if you have a bunch of buffs up and you're blocking, it does very little damage. So my point is though that when you add these different damage mitigation abilities, you have to realize, it says 10%, but it's 10% of a really big number. So the actual damage that it stops is actually quite significant, or at least it can be. Now, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but I'm not going to get into that. I've done a 25-minute video going through all the resistances and damage mitigation stuff and how it all works. Not going to do that here, but my point is this is pretty significant. So Major Maim is one of the major debuffs you can put on a boss or on an opponent or group of opponents that is really going to reduce their damage done. Now, the reason that is so important, or can be so important, is that a lot of times some of the damage that is happening in group content is considered to be coming from a particular boss or an ad. Okay, it's not just coming from nowhere. And so if you can reduce the damage done by that boss, especially as a tank, you can reduce the damage done to the DPS and to the healer. And myself personally, as a tank, I'm always looking for ways that I can help the group more and help us get through content and make it a little bit easier, especially since I often run with very new groups. And so even if they know what to do, a lot of times everybody's still learning, and we're not keeping good buff up times. Healers are struggling. Maybe people are dying. Maybe my point is there's a lot of situations where this can be a problem. And so by being able to apply something like Major Maim to an opponent, you can reduce their damage done by a significant amount. You can do this with Void Bash. And the benefit of being able to do this with Void Bash, for those who don't know, this is an arena set that comes from Vadishan Hollows, and it's a sword and board set. So you put it on your front bar, your sword and board, and whenever you shield charge, so I think most people know that it'll pull enemies in, of course, and this mostly happens in non-trial settings because a lot of the major opponents you'll face are immune to that pull. But even if it doesn't pull them in, it still applies Major Maim for 10 seconds, and it's only a 13-second cooldown. So there is like a 3-second gap there where it won't be applied. That's still like a 75% uptime. So pretty good, right? Not bad at all. So if you can reduce the damage done by an opponent, and then the other thing about this is that if you can do this at a time where your group is going to be taking a lot of damage, so think of like Starfall on the Warrior, or think the Ash Titan and Veteran Rockgrove, or really anytime you're an off tank and your main tank is maybe new or newer, they're going to be having problems keeping up Major Maim themselves. They could do it with an ice staff, but it does taunt, so only one person can do it. And so this is a way that maybe if you want to help your group, you want to help the main tank, you want to help someone who's new, you can actually bash an opponent or bash various ads to reduce their damage done. And honestly, pretty significant if you're going for runs where you're trying to reduce deaths and you're trying to keep people from dying, especially to different AoE damage or kind of pseudo environmental damage that actually comes from ads or something like that. Using Void Bash is a great way to do that. So ad pools and Kind's Aegis, you could use it there to reduce their damage done, because a lot of the damage they cause is AoE and it kind of applies to the group as a whole more so. And anyways, and it does it in AoE, and all you got to do is bash, and it lasts for 10 seconds. So this is a really good sword and board ability, and of course this has been around for a while. Everybody knows for the pull, but I think it's the Major Maim that you could really be using in trials, and it works really well. And if you pair this with something like Nazare, which is one of the newish monster sets, which increases the duration of debuffs on opponents based on how much ultimate you use whenever you use your ultimate, then it can increase it up to 30 seconds. So you get like 40 seconds of major Maim if you applied this to an opponent and then used Nazare. And I think that it's really something that should be considered in a lot of situations, because you really could help the group and keep the DPS from dying, help the healers out, right? So that's what we're all about, so helping the group out. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content and you want to see some other stuff, definitely hit the subscribe button. I also stream several times a week here on YouTube, and so if you hit that bell icon, it will let you know when I am going live and when I posted videos. So thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.